Joining us now, Dave Sheinin from the Washington Post, who not only covers the Redskins for the Post, but also is the author of the new book, RG3, The Promise. This man knows a little bit about RG3, so the first question, Dave Sheinin, we know that Dan Snyder is happy. We know that Bruce Allen is happy. Is RG3 happy?
Well, we don't know that, and I don't even know if Robert knows that at this point. They have yet to talk as of, yesterday evening. But I do think that what Robert needed was a new direction, a new voice in the coach's office, and somebody, frankly, that he could trust. And I mean, building that trust is gonna, that's gonna be job number one, I think, for Jay Gruden. But owing to the importance of the quarterback position and that relationship, and given what happened this past season, that's going to be the first job for Jay Gruden. But I do think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about that relationship, and as a result, about the direction of the franchise.
Can I just follow up on one point? I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So, Robert Griffin III and Jay Gruden haven't spoken yet. There's been no contact, because our understanding, I mean, Kirk Cousins speculated that Team RG3 there, he and his family would have some say and some advice and consent on who was going to be the next head coach.
Right. Well, all I know is what Jay Gruden said yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, at his news conference, which is that he had not spoken to Griffin. So take that as you as you
He's
want.
in Hawaii right now, isn't he?
What's that?
Yeah, RG3's in Hawaii on vacation right now. Yeah.
Right. Or he was as of a couple days ago. Yeah.
All right. So look, here's my question. I mean, it seems like to me that you look at Shanahan. When you looked at Shanahan, I always sensed, I just look at him and it's sort of a man with. Was sort of angry or very tense all the time. You look at
tightly wound guy.
Yeah, I mean, really, a very serious, and there's always sort of a scowl on his face. And you look at Jay Gruden, and he couldn't look like a happier, more relaxed fellow. That's got to change the tone and tenor of that locker room, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, the NFL is very much a coach-driven league. I think teams take on the personality of their coach in many ways. I mean, you think about the Bill Belichick, Patriots and stuff like that. I think that he's going to set the tone, and if he acts the same way as a head coach as he did as an assistant coach in Cincinnati, and that's never a given, because with more responsibility things tend to change. But if he's the same way he was in Cincinnati, he's a very easygoing, likable guy who's open to innovations and ideas. And it's going to foster, I think, a very healthy relationship in that locker room.
Listen, he won championships as a player, as a quarterback in the Arena League. He won championships as a head coach in the Arena League. A lot of people think that some of the things that the Arena League did in terms of the very fast-paced offense, very pass-oriented and quick-moving game, has really taken over in the NFL now. Does that make him ideal for this new era in the NFL? And also, how does RG3 as a quarterback match with Jay Gruden's skills as a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it was a very unusual path, a very unusual career path for him to get to where he is now. The Arena League, the World League back in the 90s when it was alive, the UFL a couple years ago. But the Arena League, which is where he spent the bulk of his career, you're right. I mean, he had to innovate there. It's a very fast-paced, innovative, kind of unusual league where coaches were drawing up all kinds of crazy plays. And each one of those crazy plays may not translate to the NFL, but the whole idea of innovating and running a fast-paced offense and doing crazy things out of necessity, I think served him well. He ran a pretty conventional offense in Cincinnati, more of the West Coast offense that you hear about. But he ran some read option plays with a quarterback, Andy Dalton, who is not necessarily known for that type of thing. I think he's going to be great with Robert Griffin III, and I think that he's a guy who understands a quarterback's skill set and molding an offense to fit it.
Now, some coaches are still around. What's going to happen to them?
Well, I mean, they're still going through this process, but it was curious that the Redskins kept on a handful of coaches, including Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, the secondaries coach, guys who knew Gruden from the past, who had worked with him in the past. So it was almost as if they kept on these guys for the purpose of hiring Jay Gruden because, so he could keep them, and it looks like he's going to keep the majority of these guys on the staff. He'll have to bring in some other people, but he's going to call his own plays on offense.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so he's not necessarily going to need an offensive coordinator. He's going to be the guy in charge of the offense.
Dave Sheinon's. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just ask one more? Do you surprised that this thing came together so quickly?
Not really. I think it definitely indicates that he was the choice all along. And as soon as the Bengals lost in the playoffs, they jumped on this. I think probably because there was going to be other interest in him across the league from teams that have coaching vacancies right now.
Yeah.
And so it looks like he was their guy all along, especially given the way they fired some of the coaches but kept the ones who had relationships with Gruden. So I'm not really surprised by this at all.
Dave Shannon, we spent this entire interview, final question, we spent the entire interview talking about offense, not one mention of defense. And I know a lot of Redskins fans, we remember some games last season where opposing teams just rolled right over the Redskins. Is there any concern that this guy's Gruden's going to focus too much on offense and defense as an afterthought?
Well, I don't think so. Another part of being in the Arena League, as long as he did, he called defensive plays as well, and he has a pretty good grasp of that. Jim Haslett is going to be his guy, it looks like, and a lot of people hate Haslett. He's had mixed results here in Washington, but he also his defense has been ranked around the middle of the pack the past few years here, and without a lot of great personnel, you'd have to admit. I mean, he's done a lot with a little. So it looks like Haslett's going to be the guy for better or worse.
All right, Dave Sheinin, he's a sports writer for the Washington Post, author of the new book, RG3, The Promise. And here's the thing, one thing you can count on in Redskins land, there's always a story and always something to talk about. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.